Hey, what's good with the YouTube? This is your boy Rojo, and this is the Rojo Room. Not Rojo, Rojo. Today, we're going to talk about Mrs. Crystal Morado, who was an unfortunate victim of a tragedy. You know, we all kind of know a little bit about it, man. But she was married to the late James TIBBS Morado, who was a very, very significant figure in the NF for many, many decades. A little bit about Tibbs, man, former military veteran, Vietnam War combat experience, uh, was a member of the NF for a long time, man, and actually held the top leadership position, as a general for decades. You know what I mean? Very, very significant career as far as gangster lifestyle goes in that particular group. A lot of you guys know he is actually the one who got me into the NF at the young age of 20. I have a little bit of experience with the man. I was in C12 in Pelican Bay with him for quite some time. Actually, right next door to him and a gentleman known as DC, David Cervantes from Chino, who everybody knows who these guys are. They're legendary. You know what I mean? This particular case, man, Tibbs got married. He found a chick he liked or felt he could utilize in some form or fashion, and actually tied the knot. I'm gonna read a little article real quick from Gilroy. This was like 1 year after her tragic death, and it's from the Gilroy Dispatch. Title: Police continue hunt for woman's killer 1 year later. Salinas is the next stop for interviews in connection with death of 20-year-old. Salinas is the next stop for interviews in connection with death of 20-year-old. Gilroy. More than a year after her body was discovered off Hecker Pass Highway, Crystal Ann Morado's killer remains at large. Her marriage to a general in the Nuestra Familia prison gang months prior to her death has led investigators to believe the slaying may be gang-related. The petite 20-year-old Salinas resident was found slumped over in her car by a commercial trucker on January 31st in 2005, just east of Pole Line Road. He passed her vehicle at about 11:30 in the morning with its lights on and motor still running, and on his return trip an hour later, he noticed the car was still in the same spot, so he stopped. Upon approaching the vehicle, he saw blood and drove to where he had cell phone reception to call 911. Paramedics pronounced her dead at the scene. Crystal Ann Morado was linked with James TIBBS Morado, one of the top 5 leaders of Nuestra Familia, one of the top 3, for several months before her death. I think it's safe to say she had gang ties, said Santa Clara County Sheriff's Detective Sergeant Dean Baker, who has been investigating the case for the past year. She was married to an NF general. Morado was serving a life sentence at Pelican Bay State Prison when his wife was killed. He pled guilty last September to additional federal racketeering conspiracy charges that involved drug trafficking as well as 2 murders. Baker would not say whether Morado was a suspect in the murder, but did say he was contacted. We tried to talk to him, but he doesn't want to talk to us, he said. Nuestra Familia is a prison-based gang that is spread onto the streets, Baker said. Gilroy is a well-known NF town, he added. Gilroy is considered the birthplace and breeding grounds of the NF, said former city councilor Charlie Morales, who served more than 30 years as a probation officer for the juvenile justice system. Norteño gang members tend to identify with Nuestra Familia and are considered their foot soldiers, carrying out orders administered from inside prison walls, explained anti-crime team investigator Joseph Diras of the Gilroy Police Department. According to Diras, while there are a handful of Nuestra Familia gang members in the city, Gilroy police are aware of who they are and what they are doing. Police would not speculate on a motive for Morado's killing. However, her death came following a restructuring of the Nuestra Familia after her husband, as well as 20 others, were indicted on federal charges for violating the racketeering, influence, and corrupt organizations RICO statute. Morado was sent to another federal prison outside of California. After RICO, a vacuum effect took place. Young Nuestra Familia underlings no longer wanted to submit to out-of-state leadership, and rival Sereno gang members who typically affiliate with the Nuestra Familia's enemy gang, the Mexican Mafia, tried to rise up and claim more territory. The last break in the Morado case occurred mid-January, and investigators plan to travel to Salinas to conduct interviews. Police would not confirm how Morado was killed because the investigation is still underway, but bullet casings were found at the scene. According to Baker, police do have several suspects and people of interest they are watching. So anyway, man, that's a pretty old story. We're at 17 years or so. And I remember when I first heard that, I was like, oh wait, and this is one of my episodes, content, whatever you want to call it, that offers a great chance for a day's lesson. Now you get in, you're a woman, women are going to be asked to do things, maybe not anything super serious in their eyes, oh, I could do this, I could do that. That's not a crime to take a letter here or send these people money there. But little do they know, man, when you're involved in things like this, everything could be considered a crime in some form or fashion. And that's just not the NF, the MA, the AB, any other group that's considered organized, organized crime, RICO subject, predicates, etc. That's any kind of criminal dealings, man. They word all kinds of laws to allow seemingly inconsequential actions to be tried as super felony, like bad charges, man. Aiding, abetting, participation, all the things of that nature, man. So you might think, oh yeah, well, I can send this letter. A letter is no big deal. How is a letter breaking the law? If they wanna pursue it, man, they could get down to like knowingly doop. And the next thing you know, you're in a whole world of trouble, man. So, this is a good example, man. You got to know what you're doing when you do these things, and you got to know the potential consequences, man. And you got to be okay with that if you're going to do it. That's the thing. A lot of people never been in trouble or nothing. Even, Salinas, which has a huge history, bro. Extremely well educated norteños and people involved underneath that umbrella come out of Salinas, and a lot of them guys never been to prison, and they understand more about prison politics and active functioning and regiments than some people inside of prison, because it's got such a long standing history in that area. So things to think about, man, whether you're male, female, whatever, you're friends with these people, you're cool with those people, you don't mind doing them a little bit of favors. Just think at the end of the day that could come back and bite you in the ass, whether it be prison time, whether it be an assault, whether it be death. If you do something wrong and you become an obstacle, any group, that's involved in certain, activities, they're going to want you gone. You become a liability, and that's the one thing about this lifestyle is you could go from asset to liability like that, so, this story is a tragedy, people, especially, people from really historical areas, as far as gang activity goes, that have been around it all their life and whatnot, you gotta think about long term, how things can affect you. Decisions you make could cost you decades or your life, so I just wanted to run this story by you real quick. Nobody's ever been in trouble for it, and nobody probably ever will, because since TIBBS passed recently, them secrets are probably buried. Nobody's going to want to unbury that stuff and subject themselves to any kind of scrutiny. You know what I mean? So hopefully, this one little example, this one case can serve as a real good experience to people who want to get involved in things that they really have no business being involved in. Just my opinion. This is your boy Rojo. This is the Rojo Room, and y'all have a productive one, man. Appreciate you.